Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Mark Keller. We are glad to have you with us. It's finally beginning to feel like autumn. The sun sets earlier. We're seeing a little bit of rain. And of course, the temperature is starting to drop. Trust me, my hands and feet are just now warming up after last week's football game. But the biggest way we can tell fall has officially arrived is the tension that's starting to ratchet up in high school sports. Each game has a little bit more meaning now as we continue to roll toward the postseason. So we'll talk about some of that today as we welcome in a trio of Herald Mail insiders, starting with Bob Parcelletti. Bob and I will take a look back at last week's Williamsport-Boonesboro football game and look ahead to a rare occurrence this week when there are 3 intra-county matchups on the schedule. And we'll take another glance at the playoff standings through 5 weeks of the season. Then Kevin Dunleavy joins us again for the latest on boys and girls soccer in Washington County. He'll tell us who's in the driver's seat for the Tesla Cup and who could surprise in the playoffs. And Andy Mason is here to get you caught up on cross country. Just a couple weeks away from the big end of season meets. We'll find out from Andy who we should be watching as those events approach. Plus, I'll fill you in on a couple of other headlines from the last week or so too. That's what's in store today. Bob Parcelletti is up first when Inside Sports returns right after this.
Cynthia Moeller-Sullivan of Sullivan Select Real Estate has been recognized by Homelight in 3 categories: top overall producer, top seller's agent, and top agent that sells for more. Unlike other real estate venues, agents cannot pay to be recognized by Homelight. If you are considering the sale of your home, call Cynthia for a free market analysis, 301-988-5115. When it comes to real estate, select the best with Sullivan Select.
Thank you for seeing us so quickly. He's just unbearable when he's sick.
I'm glad that you came right into Meritus Urgent Care.
We have just what you need to feel better faster, young bear.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Meritus Urgent Care is located off Moggins Avenue on Creighton Boulevard. For more information, visit meritushealth.com/urgent care.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. To start off today's program with high school football, we bring in a Herald Mail insider, Bob Parcelletti. Bob, big game last week as Williamsport went to Boonesboro 1 game and 1 position up in the Class 1A West standings. Wildcats at 3-1 were 4th in the rankings. Boonesboro at 2-2 were 5th, but Boonesboro, they didn't waste any time getting on the scoreboard and putting Williamsport away 35-14.
That was pretty much the key of the game, getting it. Coach Clayton Anders said he always likes to get the ball first. And they came out with a really big sense of urgency. I mean, Ethan Halabenko, they fed it to him 4 times out of the 5 plays. And he, got the touchdown at the end, and they were up very quickly. I think it was like 9.5 minutes still to go in the first quarter. They were up really quickly. And then the defense played just as inspired, I thought, too, because they shut down Williamsport for their first 3 possessions, and around those first 3 possessions, Boonesboro scores 4 times to go 28-0. I think Williamsport was 13 plays and 1 first down in those possessions. So, I mean, they really took them out of the game.
And this was a big game. We mentioned just the positioning with Williamsport at 4th, Boonesboro at 5th coming into this one. So, it's a little early to be worrying about positioning, but this is a big one for Boonesboro now. Even though they're even, in terms of records, Boonesboro has that tiebreaker of Williamsport. Did you get a sense of urgency from players being over there on the sideline? And
not so much from the players. I mean, the week before, Clayton had said that the thing they're worried about is playing well against the 1A schools. Williamsport's now one of those, so they really needed that win to stay ahead of them. So that's one thing that was an objective for the rest of the season, to win the 1A games, to put themselves in good position in the playoffs.
And we thought if things resulted the way they did, that those 2 teams would switch, and they did. In fact, Boonesboro now up to 4th in 1A West, Williamsport down to 5th. We'll talk more about the playoff standings a little bit later. And you mentioned Ethan Halabenko, 180 yards rushing and a touchdown for him. But maybe a little more impressive in this game was Brady Ingram, the quarterback for Boonesboro. 144 yards passing, a couple of touchdown passes, and also ran for a touchdown. But he did a great job of spreading the ball around to his receivers. I think 8 or 9 different receivers in the game.
Yeah, that's got to be a big key. I know after the game, Clayton Anders said that they know that their feature piece is Ethan Halabenko, and they have to do everything off of him. But now they're trying to get different things going to get other guys involved. They brought up a running back from the JV and Braden Ord, and he's kind of jumped in and has just been going at it. And I think they're going to have some help coming down the road here because Darby Bryant, who was playing at Williamsport, had his family moved, and now he's in Boonesboro, and he's a guy that's got a little experience. He did pretty well in the time that I saw Williamsport play the first time, so I think he's going to be a big plus for them.
Yeah, both Ord and Bryant had made notable contributions to the Boonesboro win. We talked about the Boonesboro defense last week, a little leakier than we've been used to seeing from them, but they did a nice job in this one, especially bottling up the run and Taj Wagner.
Well, and that was one of the things that really surprised me, not so much that Boonesboro bottled them up, but you watch the film the week before, the way that Middletown threw, and Williamsport waited until they were down before they started throwing the ball, and that's when they got that first touchdown to make it 28-7 or 28-6, and they kind of shied away from the pass for a while there and trying to run against them, and they were getting shut down.
The Wildcats really looked a little shell-shocked. You mentioned 4 touchdowns in about the first 15 minutes of the game, but they were better in the second half, and Jared Snow, the quarterback, had another solid game throwing the ball, especially in that second half, and they were able to get something going, and were probably the better team in the second half.
Well, they played better defense, and they didn't. It wasn't so much. They didn't score. I mean, Boonesboro's defense was still there. They got 6 points or 8 points, I mean, but They shut down Boonesboro, and Tim Small, the coach at Williamsport, said that lead though helped Boonesboro play the game a little differently in the second half, probably with not as much urgency. But he did say his defense played a lot better.
Some injury concerns for Williamsport, however, as you mentioned, Snow. He went out of the game with an injury in the fourth quarter. Then Malachi Cunningham as well, the second string, he also left the game. They were down to Brandon Klein taking snaps at the end of the game. That could really put the Wildcats in a tough spot.
Yeah, they were young in that position to start with, and each step you make, you get younger because of the experience.
I wanted to mention one player that really stood out to me for Williamsport, especially defensively, was Brady Neff. The hit that he put on Ethan Holobenko to stop him short of a first down in the second half of the game. But he's done a great job, and really, as just a sophomore, shown a great sense of where the ball is on defense.
Yeah, and they need that. They don't have that many guys that are really good playmakers. I think Brandon Oyster is one that does for them. But they don't have a lot of big playmakers. The whole idea has got to be team defense. But if you got a guy that can get to the ball, that's got to help.
So happening this week, we have 3 intra-county matchups, kind of unusual this time of the season. Boonesboro at St. James, that game's being played early Thursday, so that'll be finished by the time we air here. North Hagerstown at 1-4 takes on Williamsport. That's on Friday. North, a 29-22 loss to previously winless Athelton. They need some wins here going down the stretch to get themselves into playoff position.
They need some desperately. And the problem is they've been scoring about 20-some points a game, but they've been killed on the defensive side, and they've been they just don't answer when it needs. I know that in the first game when they played South, that was one of the things that really concerned Greg Staines, was their inability to answer back or in situations like that. I mean, you consider they've had like 3 games in a row where it's less than 10 points, and they won one of them, and they lost 2 of them, and they just don't come in and make the big plays when they need it to carry it over.
They still have Boonesboro left on the schedule as well. Williamsport, meantime, after North Hagerstown, they have Catoctin, Mountain Ridge, and South Hagerstown, so they got a little bit of a tough stretch coming up as well.
So, and that was one of the things that Tim Small tried to talk to his kids about in the huddle after the game, that you're in a good spot, you just have to clean up some things and keep working.
Another matchup, and this is 2 1A West teams, Clear Spring at Smithsburg. Clear Spring at 2-3, they shut out Hancock 59-0, and Clear Spring has a pretty favorable schedule going down the stretch here with Smithsburg, St. John's Catholic Prep, Southern Garrett, Berkeley Springs. Only a couple wins among those 4 teams at all. Could we see Clear Spring win out to end this season?
Well, I mean, even if they win one or two more, I think they're going to get in the playoffs, which would be a momentous occasion for them. You know, I mean, that's one of the things they've been aiming for. So, I mean, with the way things are working out, and if they beat those couple of teams that are behind them, which is they've already got Hancock, and it's Smithsburg's behind them, and so is Southern Garrett. I mean, they probably have a good shot of getting in.
Yes, Smithsburg, this would be a big win for them. They have Brunswick, Francis Scott Key, and Boonesboro remaining. Let's go to 3A West and South Hagerstown. They continue to roll under Dave Lawrence. They're 4-1 after a 26-0 win over Silver Oak Academy. They have Seneca Valley this week, a team that's dropped down to 2A. South actually dropped a spot back in the 3A West standings. They dropped from 3rd to 4th after Blake moved up. South's in a good position here going forward.
Yeah, they got some games with the thing that is probably hiding in the background there is that they're going to have like 3 or 4 in a row that probably are games that should be easily won, and you have to worry about being competitive, especially down the stretch, I think.
Yeah, Jefferson, Boonesboro, Williamsport to close out the season for the Rebels. They got some help from Urbana, who knocked off Tuscarora this past week. Tuscarora, who had beaten South earlier in the season. Bob, thanks a bunch for joining us. Appreciate it. We'll have Kevin Dunleavy next to talk high school soccer.
Hello, my name is Jim Gross, and I'm very involved in our local sports community, as you may have seen me on the volleyball court, the wrestling mat, or the softball field officiating sports. I'm also the broker and owner of Absolute Real Estate, as I've been making it easy for over 20 years in Washington County for people to buy and sell homes. Call me, Jim Gross, at 301-788-7888 for absolutely the best in savings and service, and ask me about my sports organization donation program.
Access to high-speed internet is critical for school-aged children. Since 2014, Antietam Broadband and Washington County Public Schools have partnered to connect students and families in need with low-cost, high-speed internet service at home. Every child deserves an opportunity to succeed. Ask your child's teacher for more information on the Antietam EduNet program. A message from Washington County Public Schools and Antietam Broadband.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. Football behind us. Let's go to high school soccer now and bring in Herald Mail insider Kevin Dunleavy. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Start on the boys' side, and Boonesboro on the verge here, winning their first county championship since 2014. How did they do it?
Well, they've really been good. Not dominant, but they've been good against county competition. They have a 6-5 record, but they're 4-0 against county teams. And last night they beat Clear Spring 4-0. Their most decisive win in the county. They just got past Smithsburg 1-0 last week, and Smithsburg doesn't have a win in the county. They're 0-5 in Tesla Cup competition, so that shows you how close the teams are in the county this year, where anybody could have won it. And Boonesboro's just been clutch, and they've gotten great play from Brandon Fink and Mac Long. They're their two leaders, Brandon Fink in the back and Mac Long, their scoring leader. So they're in a really good state right now.
You mentioned Mac Long, and that's the Long name is one that we've heard quite often down in Boonesboro, kind of continuing a family tradition down there.
Yeah, last time they won, 2014, his older brother scored sensational goal where he took the ball the length of the field and scored, and it was his last game of the season. His name Keegan Long, and he injured his leg in that game. I remember him laying on the bench after the game, and that was it for him for the year. But he came up big and gave him a great moment there. And Mac remembers that game. He was there for that one, and I talked to him last night about it. And he seemed to remember the injury more than he remembered the goal. But it was a memorable game for him, and he was only in the 6th grade then, and now he's got a chance to do what his brother did.
Let's talk about the two city schools, North and South Hagerstown, and the CMC Spires. You mentioned been tough for both of them this year. Combined 0-8 in the division against Frederick County teams, and South, after a great start, has had kind of a rough go here lately.
Yeah, they started 5-0, and now they've lost 4 of their last 5 and only scored 1 goal in the process. And it's been just as tough for North. They've gone 0-5 against Frederick County teams, all in that league. And North is not a bad team. They're 2-1 against county competition. They're still alive for the Tesla Cup. If everything broke right, they could get a 3-way tie. So It's just a combination of a lot. Tuscarora's become really good. They were mediocre in years past. So all the Frederick County teams in this year have really improved, and they've really taken out, shown it against South and North.
Looking ahead to the postseason, just a couple weeks away, and is there one team on the boys' side that might surprise a little bit as we head into the postseason?
It's hard to say. So much depends on the matchups. Boonesboro's in a very tough, having moved up to 2A in soccer, very tough deal for them going against some difficult competition, Middletown specifically, and some other really good teams. Walkersville's good too this year. And then Williamsport moving from 2A to 1A. They've already beaten every team that they will play in their section, so that's a really good, really good indicator for them. Even though I think they're 6-5 right now, so they're sort of having a mediocre year by their standards. But having beaten everyone in their section, they'll be the top seed, very likely, and will be the team to beat.
Well, the records during the regular season mean nothing in the postseason, right? So let's go over to the girls' side. And Clear Spring coming up with a big win Monday night over Boonesboro, 1-0. That's a huge win for the Blazers.
Yeah, they're the defending Tesla Cup champs, and they had struggled a little bit this year and had some uneven results. And now it looks like they're maybe ready to put on the kind of charge they did last year. They got better as the year went on, and no surprise there under Brian Albert. He was the coach of the year last year, and he always seems to have his team playing better as the season progresses. And Boonesboro had been undefeated in the county against county teams, and now they've got their first loss, and now it's pretty much wide open. They're still in the driver's seat. They beat South and North next week. They will be the Tesla Cup champions. But if not, Clear Spring will be waiting there, and North and South are even still alive. So they could really pull some upsets. And as we've seen, anybody can beat anybody on the girls' side this year, which has never happened. Has been a long time since that's been the case.
A big game coming up, another big game coming up for Boonesboro this week when they host Middletown. Kind of a measuring stick game in that one, right?
Yeah, because they're in the same section with them. Very tough section. There's a lot of other good teams in that section, but Middletown's the best. And if they beat Middletown, they'll be tied for first place in the CMC Spires. So it's been a long time since a county team has won one of those divisions, CMC divisions. So a lot to play for there, and they're definitely the underdog. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them surprise.
So good. Look ahead on at the postseason on the girls' side. Clear Spring, Williamsport, Smithsburg, looking to be in good shape in 1A West Section 2. How do you see that sort of shaking out there in that section and in that region as well?
Yeah, that's really interesting because they're the three best teams in that section. They've all played each other. They're all 1-1 against each other. Those three teams, Smithsburg, Clear Spring, and I forgot the other one. But anyway, Williamsport. So they're all 1-1 against each other. All the games between them have been decided by one goal. So, it's been that way in the 1A for a long time, even when it was Boonesboro instead of Williamsport. So that is wide open. Anybody could win it, and it'll definitely be a team from Washington County, I would think, because the rest of the teams are significantly weaker in that section. So we'll see probably two really good games there.
And how about in the other section in 1A West? What does that look like, and how does the road look for that Section 2 winner?
Well, the region teams and the section winners will go into just like the rest, all the other sports, where they'll be then seeded against other teams in the state. So winning your section means you don't have to now face the other section winner in your region. And that's probably a good thing, because in the 1A, Mountain Ridge is always a really good team, but you don't know who you could get. You could get a very weak team. Sometimes that's the case. You play somebody from an area that doesn't have any kind of soccer tradition, and you might get really lucky and have an easy matchup in that round, or just the opposite, where you play somebody from Howard County or something where it's really tough.
The change in playoff format got me that time. So, Kevin, thanks for straightening me out, and thanks for your knowledge on soccer. Stay with us. We'll have Andy Mason coming up next with cross country right after this.
Cynthia Muller-Sullivan of Sullivan Select Real Estate has been recognized by Homelight in 3 categories: top overall producer, top seller's agent, and top agent that sells for more. Unlike other real estate venues, agents cannot pay to be recognized by Homelight. If you are considering the sale of your home, call Cynthia for a free market analysis, 301-988-5115. When it comes to real estate, select the best with Sullivan Select.
Introducing Antietam Smart Wi-Fi, the ultimate home networking solution. Smart Wi-Fi expands your wireless network and can eliminate Wi-Fi dead zones. Adding Smart Wi-Fi access points creates a Wi-Fi blanket for all of your devices, so you get consistent wireless internet speeds anywhere in your house. So go ahead and browse, game, and stream video in any room. Make the most of your internet with Smart Wi-Fi from Antietam Broadband. Smart homes deserve smart Wi-Fi.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. Andy Mason joins me now to talk cross country. Andy, a couple big meets over the last week or so, and let's start out talking about the City Championships of Hagerstown, 10th annual, held last Wednesday, and for the 3rd year in a row, all North High.
Yeah, North swept the boys and girls team titles for the 3rd straight year. And it's tri-meet, north-south, the Goretti, small meet, but there's a lot of bragging rights there. They make a big deal about it. Top 10 finishers get medals. There's trophies to the overall winners, plaques for the team, for the team champion. So it's a big deal. North was happy to win that. And interestingly, on the girls' side, Phoebe Meehan, their top runner, our reigning Herald Mail, runner of the year from last year, is not having a great year. And I think it's all because she's got this terrible blister on her foot. And it caused her to be, gave her some trouble earlier in the year. She sat out the Wildcat Invitational, came back for the city meet, and, hoping the blister, the big blister, she actually showed it to me at the Wildcat when she was not running, and it was pretty nasty. But a few days after that, she's at the city meet, mile in, she's got a big lead. It looks like here's the old Phoebe, she's back, ready to win, and then things did not turn out well. She, started suffering, ended up dropping out around 2 miles. And her teammate, Mary Claire Anderson, got the win. And that was a great story because Mary Claire, her primary sport in the fall is soccer. This is her 3rd year on the cross-country team. She had never even run the city race before because there was always a soccer commitment. But Rick Elshire, the Hubs coach, she asked permission to run. And he allowed her to run, and she won. She won by almost a minute. And it was kind of neat. She got to run by the soccer field where her team was practicing, and they all cheered for her. And she led them to victory. On the boys' side, North got it done with its depth because top 4 finishers, they weren't, there was a clear top 4 halfway through the race, and there were no North kids in it. And it ended up turning into, the last mile turned into a duel between South's Elam Akakpo and Goretti's Ryan Rasco, and Elam pulled away from the last half mile, got the victory.
Okay.
And for the team title there, I'll say this, it was the North girls ran away with it. North boys had a fight with Goretti, and they edged them 39-40 by 1 point.
Wow.
So it was a real close one. At the finish line, it was tough. It was real tough to tell who won. In fact, I thought Goretti maybe got him, but yeah, North won by 1 point.
Wow, congratulations to the Hubs and to the individual winners as well. Meanwhile, the 30th annual Don Stoner Invitational was held at Smithsburg on Saturday, and like North in the city championships, Boonesboro sweeping titles here.
Yeah, Boonesboro swept the titles. Girls wasn't a huge surprise. Boys was because Williamsport finished 2nd. And people might look at that and be like, what happened? Because Williamsport, this year they're stronger than Boonesboro. And Williamsport was missing 2 of its top runners. A.J. Miller, I believe, was taking the SATs, and Arian Shaw. Arian Shaw at the Wildcat Invitational the weekend before that suffered a rough fall right at the start, got tangled up or something, went down hard, I think hurt his knee, ended up dropping out. And then on Saturday, he ran the JV race and was in a league of his own there. He won that. So I guess they just wanted to test out I'm not sure what the story is, but he was in the JV race. And I expect both of them to be back and the Wildcats to be at full strength moving forward. But not to take anything away from Boonesboro, though. They had a great race. They won that title, so they're the Stoner champs.
The individual champs are names that we've talked about before this year.
Yeah, well, boys champ Iggy Chalker, he is fantastic. You know, he's got a lot. I think he's won 6 of his 8 races this year, and he's got some more titles coming his way. He's having a great season. He ran away with the Don Stoner title. On the girls' side, Smithsburg Junior Daly Younker keeps getting better each week. She's brand new to the sport. She's a lacrosse player who's run a little bit of indoor track, decided to come out for cross country, and boy, she's been great. I'm sure exceeded hers and everyone else's expectations. And she, you know, right now she's the runner to beat in the county. It'll be interesting to see if Phoebe Meehan can get back on track and defend her county title, but Daly's gonna be tough to beat. But yeah, she won on her home course. She's undefeated on her home course this year, 2-0.
Wow.
Second run, like a few weeks after her first meet there, 1 minute faster, so she keeps getting better and better.
So the Frank Kaiser Invitational this weekend at Boonesboro, then we get into championship season. Real quick before we close out, wanted to mention the elementary cross-country run held this past weekend out at Eastern Elementary. This is always a big deal, and you wanted to mention the winners there.
Yeah, it's a fall classic, you know, 752 runners this year. Some, you know, it's just, there's a ton of kids, a ton of parents. It's a great environment. From first place to last, everyone's a winner there. It's a real neat event. But yes, a shout out to the 5th grade champs. Boys side, Cooper Byard won in 6:08, fastest time of the day. His 3rd straight title. He got the 3-peat there. Each year he won convincingly, and you know, it'll be interesting to see if he's a hub. if he runs for North High from Paramount. If he runs for North High in 4 years. On the girls side, a great story. Peyton Schnebley, 5th grade champ. 3rd grade year, she finished as 2nd. 4th grade year, she finished as 2nd. This year, she was determined to win. She trained hard. I think she said she ran 3 miles a day, 5 days a week. That is serious training for a 5th grade girl. And she won by a lot. She lost her shoe in the beginning of the meet. It did not matter. She ran with, you know, 1 shoe, 1 sock. She won by over 30 seconds, and, you know, that's a great story.
Wow. Well, congratulations to those winners. We'll be looking for those names here in a couple of years at the high school level. Andy, thanks a bunch for joining us. Stay with us. We'll wrap things up right after this.
Introducing Antietam Smart Wi-Fi, the ultimate home networking solution. Smart Wi-Fi expands your wireless network and can eliminate Wi-Fi dead zones. Adding Smart Wi-Fi access points creates a Wi-Fi blanket for all of your devices, so you get consistent wireless internet speeds anywhere in your house. So go ahead and browse, game, and stream video in any room. Make the most of your internet with Smart Wi-Fi from Antietam Broadband. Smart homes deserve Smart Wi-Fi.
Hello, my name is Jim Gross, and I'm very involved in our local sports community, as you may have seen me on the volleyball court, the wrestling mat, or the softball field officiating sports. I'm also the broker and owner of Absolute Real Estate, as I've been making it easy for over 20 years in Washington County for people to buy and sell homes. Call me, Jim Gross, at 301-788-7888 for absolutely the best in savings and service, and ask me about my sports organization donation program.
Welcome back to the show. There were a couple of other things we wanted to make you aware of this week as we close in on the postseason. In volleyball on Monday, Boonesboro recorded perhaps the biggest upset in the county this season with a sweep of defending Class 1A champion Clear Spring. And Dan Kaufman told us last week that Boonesboro has been playing well, and that showed against the Blazers. We'll see if that win gives the Warriors something to build on as they move closer to the 2A West playoffs, and whether there's reason for concern for Clear Spring. And in golf, Boonesboro's Jackson Schultz qualified for the Class 2A 1A state tournament for the 2nd straight year after shooting a 5 over par 76 in the district championships last week at Black Rock. Schultz finished 6th overall on the day. South Hagerstown's Lexi Parrott is also making a return appearance to the state tournament. She qualified for the Class 4A 3A field the previous week. Congratulations to both of those golfers. The state championships are October 29th and 30th in College Park. The Washington County Championships will be played on Tuesday, October 15th at Black Rock. We are winding down our live game coverage for the fall season. Only 2 more events remaining on the schedule. Next Thursday, October 17th, we'll see 2 volleyball powerhouses as the defending Class 2A champion Williamsport Wildcats travel to North Hagerstown to face the Hubs. Letty Wilkes joins me on the call for the match, which will start around 6:30. And finally, on Friday, November 1st, we'll close out the season back on the football field as Boonesboro travels up Route 66 to meet its rival, the Smithsburg Leopards, in their traditional season finale. Coach Randy Longnecker joins me on the call. Pregame begins at 6:45 with kickoff scheduled for 7 p.m. You can see those events by downloading the WCL TV on the Go app for your mobile phone or tablet. My thanks to Bob Parcelletti, Kevin Dunleavy, and Andy Mason for being here today, and thank you for tuning in. We'll have no Inside Sports next week, but we'll be back on Thursday, October 24th to help take you down the home stretch of the fall season. Have a great weekend, everyone.